The effects of the coronavirus pandemic on the various sectors of the Nigerian socio-economic system is alarming, but the worst hit is arguably the education sector. Since the federal government initiated a national lockdown in March 2020 in order to curb the spread of the coronavirus, various institutions and businesses throughout the country were affected but have been allowed to gradually resume operations with the exception of the schools.
Coronavirus has affected the school system. The schools are now shut down, no learning. We all know that each session has its own scheme of work, which we draw from the curriculum. But because of this shutdown of schools now, the curriculum now are being left vacuum, and it's going to affect the children, because for them to go into another class or for them to be promoted to another class, they must finish their previous scheme of work in that very class. But because of this coronavirus now, because of this shutdown, the children now are being affected seriously because they've not finished the previous scheme of work which they're supposed to finish. And now they are now at home. A whole term has gone. Though some schools are doing what we call e-lesson, learning online, but it's not helping every student, because some parents are very poor. They can't even afford the Android phone, not even to talk of recharging it. In this way now, learning has been put into the affluent, those that have the money, the rich, while the poor masses are there suffering.
Education, as we all know, is the bedrock of every society. But this coronavirus has caused lots of harm to our educational curriculum and education system. The impact is most severe on the disadvantaged children and their families. Looking at primary, as we know, and elementary education, which consists typically of the first 4 to 7 years of a child's formal education, can never be overemphasized. Moreover, some parents who cannot afford online education, they find it difficult to cope. The topics and moral lessons which these children missed the past months and terms can leave a vacuum in their academic life. Therefore, government should stand up in what they ought to do to tackle the devastating effects of this coronavirus on our education system.
Unlike other social gathering places such as markets, churches, and offices, which have opened for business, all primary, secondary, and tertiary educational institutions across the country have remained under lock and key.
I miss being in school. I miss my friends. I miss the computer app. I miss my teachers, and I also miss lessons.
Being out of school has affected me so much. It has affected me in my academics.
I really miss school. It has been long. I miss those days when we normally come to school. Although I feel like, let school stop, let me rest. But now, the thing has been too much.
It's affecting their studies, and some of them are lagging behind. They have open church, open markets, and every other thing. It's better they open school at the same time.
It's unfair. For past 2 or 3 months now, my children have not been attending school. I don't think that is very good omen for every Nigerian in this country. So we are pleading to the federal government, to them to reopen schools so that our children can get back to school. Since people are attending markets, churches, everywhere is open, that common school, someone can train his or her daughter. It's not a good omen. I want schools to open today, tomorrow, so that our children can attend school.
These discriminatory policies by the government against the education sector and the schools can no longer be ignored by the people who see them as hypocritical and neglectful of the well-being of children.
Unlike other countries, like Nigeria or third world countries, every British child has a television in her room, has internet, by which and through which they're able to exercise the virtual education. Mathematics is done by computer and internet. There is systems of English training in the internet. There is systems of biological, chemistry, physics, formation, all have been put into internet and into data, electronics, technology that allowed these children to do even the highest of mathematical formulations. And this virtual educational system are all in their schools and are all now taking our home. So these children, to a large extent, don't even feel anything like COVID-19 stopping them from going to school, except their social life, which is also very important for them. So all the parents need to do is to make sure that they keep their internet, their data, their IP, provider happy and pay them. It would be very, very erroneous and very, very unfair for a system like Nigeria to adapt itself to the rules and regulations that are laid down in the United Kingdom or by the United Kingdom Parliament or by the United States Parliament or Senate. Because these systems have already these technological advancements and these possibilities of virtual education that their children have been going through while at home. Whereas in the Nigerian setting, there is nothing, practically nothing like that. Even the richest of them are so lagging behind that in a population of 100 million, I will tell you that 80 million of Nigerians do not have that facility of virtual education system. So why would they call back students, return to school, exam class? The same month they are returning to school after being away from school for 4 months without education, without anything. They expect them to begin exam within 1 month and do well. So just because UK is doing it, just because United Kingdom or US is doing it, that's wrong. Your system is not their system. Their means is not the means of your citizens. They have the virtual education formation system in their country, in their homes, while on lockdown. We in Nigeria, we don't have that.
For me, I would say the government should put in place some measures. For instance, when they talk of washing hands and social distance, is to create an avenue where in the schools, at least, they should tell the owners of schools or the headmasters and headmistresses on this, so that they will know how to handle the situation in their own locality. Like where I am now, they can tell the children to wear face masks, and then there should be water there, and then they can arrange the children where at least there is a social distance so that the children can be taken care of. Otherwise, the damage will continue to be there.
The people expect their government to devise inclusive and pragmatic solutions to ensure the safety, health, and progress of the nation's students.
It's going to be very difficult here in Nigeria. We would have used online, but with the poverty here, it will be very difficult for a family who has not seen money to buy food to eat, and then they will go and start recharging data and then looking for network for their child to learn when they are hungry. So it's going to be very difficult for us to do that. And then our children here with our local mentality, it's very difficult to manage them.
Debate rages in America over whether and to what extent schools should reopen this fall due to the risks of students contracting COVID-19 and then transmitting it to other students or teachers and staff who work in schools. School districts and educators face the difficult challenge of how to reopen schools while weighing various factors affecting both public health and the proper education of children. While the number of cases has increased in the summertime, the number of deaths has decreased, giving hope that COVID-19 may not be as deadly as once thought. Also, current data show that school-aged children are not as likely as adults to either catch or spread the virus. Even still, people cannot agree on the acceptable risks for children as schools plan to reopen. I went to a rally in Springfield, the capital of the state of Illinois in the United States, and I spoke with parents about whether students should be required to wear masks at school.
I was talking with some friends. We all had major concerns about children wearing masks, how the school year was going to look. I started doing some research, some real research from places like Harvard and the Mayo Clinic and the CDC, and everybody was in agreement that A, school should have never closed anyway, and B, that children are not transmitting the virus. The CDC lists the rate of infection amongst children at 0.0%. We kind of got together and we decided that somebody needed to get some real true information out there, and that our kids really deserve to have not a new normal education, but a normal education.
While public health is a critical issue, many believe it should not be considered in isolation from other values Americans hold dear, especially when the science of COVID-19 has become so disputed and even politicized due to the upcoming election season. Whatever decisions impacting the education of children are made in the days ahead, let us place our concerns into God's hands and pray for the best. May leaders in America and in Nigeria truly keep the best interests of the children at heart.
Please, I'm tired of staying at home. I want to go to school. I'm missing all my students and my classmates.